All right, guys. So what we are going to do tonight, I've experienced most of you camping now. I've experienced several times with guys that can't even pick up their backpacks and get on their bags. So you're bringing way too much stuff camping, and your packs are way too heavy. So tonight we're going to talk about what we need for a scout campout. This would be a normal campout when we have the trailer, we're doing patrol cooking, we're not packing food and all that kind of stuff with us. This is just what you need to bring on a regular, everyday campout in your backpack. The reason I'm doing this now is in 2 weeks when we go to Highland Games, we are hiking into our campsite. So we're stopping in the parking lot, we're getting everything out of the trailer, and we're walking to our campsite. We can take one car up with the trailer. So everything you bring is going on your back. So you need to be able to carry your pack. This is not packing for a backpacking trip. This is packing for a scout campout. But we are going to talk about some of the same things because over the winter we're going to talk about backpacking. And we're going to add to this for a backpacking trip in the spring where we're going to hike to a campsite, camp for the night, hike the next day to another campsite, camp for the night, and then hike back to the parking lot. Okay, so this is going to be the groundwork for what's to come later. So we're going to talk about a few backpacking terms and things to prepare for that. So I'm going to start with what we wear. The reason I'm not in uniform tonight is because I'm dressed for a campout. So I have hiking shoes on, not work boots. You need something comfortable to walk in. If you wear work boots and stuff, they're not meant to hike in, and they'll be heavy. If they get wet, they don't dry out. Your feet will stay wet all weekend. So you want something that's light and can dry out, but durable. No open toe sandals, no Crocs, because if you're working with any kind of sharp tools, your feet are not protected. If you're working on the fire, it's very easy for embers or sparks to get inside of your shoes and burn your feet. So when we get into backpacking, we'll talk about camp shoes, and Crocs would be fine for that. After a day of hiking, you want to get your wet, sweaty shoes off, put something like that on for an hour or two, let your feet dry out. That's a different situation than what we normally do camping. You need to dress in layers. It's New England, the weather changes in a minute sometimes. So on a normal campout, I would wear usually a pair of pants. I like the convertible ones that unzip so you can have shorts and pants. And when we get into clothing, you'll understand more why I do that, but I have shorts and pants on at the same time right now. I can make them either or throughout the day, depending on the weather, the temperature. We go hiking, and my pants get wet. I take the legs off, let them dry out. I don't have to change my clothes, which means I don't have to bring a change of clothes. So that's an advantage to that. T-shirt, long sleeve shirt, hooded sweatshirt. I recommend a hooded sweatshirt over a just collared sweatshirt because you can put the hood, when we're sitting around the fire at night, the back of your neck will get extremely cold, especially if there's a huge temperature difference from the fire to the air around us. I've been on campouts where I've had ice on the back of my neck. The back of my sweatshirt actually had frost on the back of my shirt, and I was sweating sitting in front of the fire. So a hooded sweatshirt will stop that from being on your skin. Depending on the weather, we're going into October, November campouts. Depending on the weather of the day, I'll put thermals on under this, and then I can take the long sleeve off, I can take the sweatshirt off, I can make any combination of my clothing throughout the day to combat the weather. And then my trusty troop hat. Also on my person, I have my knife. I know some of you guys carry like swords. You don't need those for anything we do. Let's say 90% of the time on a campout, the only thing you use your knife for is to cut a package of food open. You don't need a blade any bigger than that to cut a package open. Right? So we don't have to carry big heavy knives. We don't need pulling our pants down with this giant sword. Something like this is all you really need. And then also always in my pocket is my headlamp. I recommend a headlamp over any other flashlight because you don't need to use your hands. We're always using our hands to carry wood, carry equipment, cook, clean, whatever. You can just put it on your head. If you don't want it around your head, you can just leave it around your neck. Turn it on, it'll light what you're doing in front of you. So a headlamp, and that just stays in my pocket all the time when we're camping. Because even during the day, sometimes you need a light. So that's on my person. I'm gonna skip ahead here in the pile, but while we're on the clothing, all I ever bring on a camp out, and I've been on, I can't count how many camp outs. This is my spare clothes for winter camp out. Summer camp out, I wouldn't even bring all of this. The only thing, I bring an extra pair of thermals. So I have thermals that I would wear during the day with my clothes. And if it's cold enough at night, I have a set of thermals I only wear to bed. That way I don't wear my sweaty, wet, dirty clothes in my sleeping bag. So I have thermals if I need them to sleep in. Otherwise, like warmer weather, I'll just sleep in a pair of shorts. I carry 2 extra pairs of socks, so I'll wear a pair of socks. I bring a second pair of socks, and I bring an emergency pair of socks. When we get into cold weather, we're going out in February, January, I'll switch these out for wool socks. But for this time of year, these are fine. I carry an extra pair of underwear just in case, and that's it. The last thing in this bag that stays in here is my hat for sleeping. I don't wear my hat that I wore all day and out by the fire and sweating and everything else to bed. I have this one. If I get cold at night, if this stays in my sleeping bag with me, I can put it on my head. That's all I bring for clothes on every camp. And again, I don't need to bring shorts and pants because I'm wearing shorts and pants. I can take the legs off, put them back on. If they get wet, I can take them off, dry them off. I don't have to have a second pair of pants. And none of these clothing is cotton. If cotton gets wet, it stays wet, and it gets very heavy, and it takes a lot to dry it out. So especially denim, like never wear denim pants camping. They'll take, if you get them wet on Friday night, they will not dry until you go home on Sunday. So you'll have wet clothes all weekend. You want something light that's easy to dry. So that's clothing. Couple of backpacking terms when we get into things. We have what we call base weight and our big 3. Those are like the key terms. So our big 3 is our backpack, our sleeping bag, and our tent. Those are your 3 heaviest items you're gonna have. And then you can kind of control everything else from there. Base weight is everything in your pack, including your backpack, without food or water. Your base weight should not be more than 20% of your body weight. For some of you guys, that's going to be hard to do. I weighed all this when I got here tonight. I'm at 23 pounds. For some of you, that's probably already over 20% of your body weight. And that's not carrying any food or water or anything else. That's when we get into backpacking, we have to worry about that. This is just scout camping. So as we go through this, I'm gonna pack the bag and show you how to efficiently pack your backpack and what each thing is for and why. You do not need to bring any more than what's on this table to any camp out we go on. Unless we tell you, like, again, if we go backpacking somewhere, then we need trail stoves and water, extra water and food. That's a different situation. We'll deal with that when the time comes. But you do not need any more than this on a camp out. Does that mean you can't bring more than this? No, I do. This is not what I pack. This is what I feel you guys should pack. I bring my trail stove on every camp out. I bring 2 extra meals on every camp out. Those are things that I bring in case we have a food issue, somebody needs to eat something. We have stove malfunction, we have a spare stove with my backpacking stove, things like that. I bring that because I choose to, but this is the necessities. So what I'm gonna do is start with packing, and we'll go through the stuff as we go. So, pack. I start with my sleeping bag in the bottom. Most of these packs have a pocket that unzips at the bottom. If you don't, that's fine, and I'll explain the ways around that. But the reason I do this, I put my sleeping bag at the bottom. When I get to camp, my sleeping bag's at the bottom, my tent's at the top. Everything else is in the middle. So I can take my tent out, set up my tent. I can take my sleeping bag out, set up my sleeping stuff, and everything else stays in the middle and I don't have to touch it. So I don't have to dump my entire backpack out when I get to camp. If your bag doesn't unzip on the bottom, that's fine. You just gotta take everything out, take your sleeping bag out, put your stuff back in so you don't lose it. Not the end of the world. So we'll start with sleeping bag. This is a 20-degree bag. So let's talk about sleeping bags for 1 second before I put it in. I brought a couple of all the samples up. This one is a 20-degree bag as well. This is more of a youth size sleeping bag, so this would be perfect for any of you guys. I tried it, I've used it a couple of times. I can't zip it up over my shoulders. So I went to something a little bit bigger. This is more of an adult size. Still 20-degree bags, but you can see the size difference a little bit bigger. This is a 0-degree bag. If we go tent camping in January, you're not putting this in your backpack. We won't be hiking into camp either in a situation like that. But I'm just kind of giving you an idea of different sleeping bags for different seasons. For 90% of what we do camping, a 20-degree sleeping bag is more than enough. A 30 is even probably okay. So you don't need to go to a big, giant 0-degree sleeping bag. But on the occasion that we do something, you can always use this with an additional blanket or a smaller sleeping bag inside of it and just double them up for that 1 or 2 times a year that we might need it. But chances are you'll be fine with this. So just for some comparison. So a sleeping bag goes in first. Jam that down the bottom. Next up, in the same line of sleeping stuff, this is a sleeping bag liner. It's like $10 at Walmart. It's just a bed sheet folded in half and stitched together and make a sleeping bag out of it. This keeps the sleeping bag from getting dirty. We all get dirty camping. We're cooking, we're cleaning, we're around the fire, we get dirty. 9 times out of 10, we don't have showers available to us when we're scout camping. So you put one of these inside your sleeping bag, you sleep inside of this. This can add anywhere from 5 to 10 degrees to your sleeping bag. So if it gets a little colder, this will help you. And then you just take this home and wash this, and you're good to go. Your sleeping bag stays cleaner a lot longer. So that goes next. So now when I get to camp and I got my tent set up, I pull my sleeping bag out, I pull my liner out. Next up in here is my clothes, because these are the clothes I sleep in. So I keep everything in Ziploc bags, keeps it dry if you get stuck in the rain, something like that. So now, all my sleep stuff's in the bottom. Now we're going to talk about the middle of the bag. Some have pockets on the outside, some don't. That's fine. Again, it's just a matter of how you pack it. You just have to kind of find what works for you. But this is the middle of my bag. You have a question?
What about your pillow?
That's next. So, as Jacob said, pillow. Some of you can sleep without a pillow. For years as a scout, I just rolled up my sweatshirt and I used that as my pillow and I was fine. As an adult, I can't do that anymore. I'll wake up in the morning and I won't be able to do it. So I have a small inflatable pillow. That goes in next. So now I have all my sleeping stuff at the bottom. Depending on the weather and the forecast for the weekend, no matter what, I always bring my poncho because it's New England, the weather changes. But if it's no rain in the forecast, it goes in next. If there's rain in the forecast, it stays on top. So that's just one of those things that can go either way. Next up, we're going to talk about mess kits, because that's another huge weight department. And I brought a few samples. So, when I was a scout, we carried these. They're heavy, they're durable, they last forever, clearly. This thing's like 30 years old. It's been in the fire, I've cooked in the fire on it and stuff. They last forever, but they're heavy. Modern version of that, but you can't cook in this. Still substantially heavy. Do an improved mess kit. Cup, bowl, plate. These just fold up, snap together. This is your cup. Same idea with the others. I'm a little crazy when it comes to weight, as you'll learn when we get into backpacking. I leave these at home. I don't need those. I bring a plate and I have an insulated mug. I can pretty much eat anything you guys manage to cook in this, and if it's liquid, it goes in here. So soup, hot chocolate, bug juice, water, whatever else, sometimes soupy mac and cheese, you know, that can all go in here. Pancakes, French toast, turkey dinner, pizzas, eggs, omelets, whatever you guys make, I can eat in my plate. The reason I like this over this is that it packs nice and flat. You unsnap it when you go to wash it. Our wash pans, we don't have to use as much water, right? The dishes are flat, you wash it off, and it's good. It also fits right against the inside of the back of my backpack. It takes no room. My mug takes a little room, but again, not a big deal. That goes in there. Now, with those two things, I can eat or drink anything we have. I use these utensils because I got tired of the plastic ones getting broken. It is what it is. I like the long one because when we do backpacking and stuff, when we use the freeze-dried meals, you can reach all the way down into the bag with this. And if I carry that with a knife, again, I can eat any meal we have. This is another great option. This has a knife on one side of the fork and spoon, easy to clean, easy to carry. You don't have to go out and buy any of this fancy stuff. This is just a little Ziploc container, they're like $4 for $1 at Walmart or any of the grocery stores. This does the same as this. And you could actually put soup in this too if you wanted to. So, you don't have to go out and buy anything fancy. Just something like this, which you might already have at home. A 99-cent fork, and you got a mess kit. And that's really all you need. So, that's a big place to lose a lot of weight and space in your bag. The other thing I have, chairs. I know most of you guys have chairs. You either have the big bag chair, the full-size armrest chair with the carry bag. If we're hiking into camp, I know I don't want to carry that with my stuff. This is a backpacking chair. This is very heavy. If we're hiking in, I'm probably going to leave this at home too. Instead, I have this. It's just a foam. It's the same thing as my sleep mat, but it's seat size. I can grab a log, throw this on top of the log, sit on it. It keeps me dry, it keeps me clean. If we go hiking, I bring this with me. This goes everywhere with me. You can throw it right down on the ground. You can use it if you've got to get fire lit. Put this down on the ground, kneel on it. Your knees won't get wet. Keeps your pants clean, keeps you from getting wet. You don't have to worry about drying your stuff if you don't get it wet. So, these, Amazon, $10.
Two for 12.
2 for 12. They come in a 2-pack. This is a little different than this one, but same idea. So that's always in my pack, no matter what. So again, depending on the camp out, we're not going far. Chair is fine. We're hiking. I don't want to carry my chair. I'm gonna bring that instead. Next up in my bag is my tent. That's pretty much everything that goes inside my bag. This is a 2-person tent. So that's in there, and you can still see how much room I have left in here. So if I need to put my hooded sweatshirt in here, if I don't want to wear my thermals, if I want to bring them, I can throw those in. They're easy access from the top until we get to camp. Next up, some of your backpacks come with a rain cover. A lot of them, they're attached right here. There's a zipper, and you can open it, and you pull it out, and you pull it up over your pack and cover your pack. This one did not come with one, so I bought a separate one. I just keep it right in the top of my pack, so it's easy to get to. It starts raining. I don't have to go digging everywhere for it. It just sits right here, ready to go. In the top of my pack, otherwise known as the brain, I keep things I want to be able to get to quickly. So I have a Ziploc bag I carry with a pen and a pencil for my maps. So if we are hiking, take a map of wherever we're going, keep that in here. I keep a pair of gloves in case we gotta go collect firewood, we gotta deal with something dirty, whatever it may be. There's gloves, easy to get to. Also in the top, I keep a washcloth. Sometimes you just want to clean your face off, whatever. You can wet this, clean yourself off, hang it off the back of your backpack, let it dry. You're good to go. I have a bandana just in case you need it for any million uses. And I have a neck gaiter. This became a COVID staple on a lot of campouts. I just keep this if we get to a place where we have to have a mask on. I can just slip this over. You can also use it to cover your head. You can use it for a washcloth, a towel, endless uses. So that stays right up here. And then I put my utensils up here so they're easy to get to. And the last thing that goes on top is my first aid kit. And I actually, just a little trick here, I put a long piece of rope on the zipper of my first aid kit. If you're ever injured and you need this and you're alone, you can put this on the ground, you can kneel on it, you can take your good hand or injured hand if need be and put it through the loop and unzip it. You don't have to try to pull on the little tiny zippers. And then what I do is I zip my pack up, leaving that hanging out the side. So I know right where my first aid kit is. And again, I don't have to mess with the zippers on my bag. I can grab this, I can pull my bag open, and I can yank this thing out if I need to. So keep that right there, easy to get to. Moving to the front. Again, if you don't have the front zipper pockets like this, just put this stuff inside. You could actually get like a gallon-sized Ziploc bag, and the rest of the things I have here, put them all in a bag, put that in under your tent. Be the easiest place for it. Stuff here. Toiletry stuff. I know you guys don't brush your teeth when we're camping, but you should. So, toothbrush, toothpaste. I have some wet wipes, hand sanitizer. I bring earplugs because just the Valcourt snow is really loud. So it's nice to have those sometimes. Chapstick, needle and thread. Just some basic stuff to stay clean, feel good. Along the same category, toilet paper. I have wet wipes in here and a little trowel. Because sometimes we're out on the trail and there's no bathroom and you gotta go. So I keep that up here with my toiletry stuff. And also I have 25 feet of paracord. This is set up to be a clothesline right now. I got it pre-made with knots on the end and a clip so I can wrap around the tree and clip it up. So again, any of your stuff gets wet, you can hang it up and dry it. You break a tent line, you have extra rope. You need to tie up some firewood to carry back to camp. You got some rope, another million uses. I just happen to keep it set up as a clothesline because I use that more than anything. I have a small fire starter kit, some matches, a fire striker, a lighter, and some tinder, just in case we get a fire started, we have stuff. I have an emergency blanket, which can also double as a raincoat, a ground cloth. You could put it over your tent if your tent springs a leak. Put it under your tent if your tent springs a leak. Anything. If you get too cold and your sleeping bag is not enough, put this over your sleeping bag. You're guaranteed to stay warm. So I keep one of those in there. This is just a little cheap orange hunting vest. You guys that have been in the troop a while, you've had to use these on hikes. I recommend everybody grabs one of these and puts it in their pack. They're $5 in the hunting section at Walmart. Some of the places we go hiking, we're required to wear these. So if we go to Yagoo and we hike off of Yagoo into the Connecticut State Forest, we have to have these on. It's law. We get fined if you don't. So I just keep it in my pack. It's also great. We're out hiking, something happens, we need to signal somebody for help or something. We got something nice and bright and orange. Also, why my sleeping hat is orange. It doubles purpose if need be. I keep a trash bag in here, so along the way, sometimes we're out hiking, we're hiking in or out of camp. You find stuff on the ground, you have candy wrappers, you have, granola bar you had in your pocket, just something to throw your trash in. That takes care of that. In my hip pocket, I have my compass. And I have my little tent lantern. I usually just throw on the other side. And that can double as an extra flashlight if need be. That is everything in my pack. Water bottle. Bring it in. Alright, so I know a lot of you guys have the big metal insulated water bottles. I have my favorite hydro flask that goes everywhere with me. It keeps the water cold all weekend, it's great, but they weigh a ton. These, for the use for what you guys do, an Nalgene bottle is probably the best bang for your buck. They're around $10 pretty much anywhere. That's a regulated price, so no matter where you buy them, they're the same price. They're almost indestructible. I've been using them for about 20 years. I've never broke one, except for this little strap. You can put hot water in them. You can put cold water in them. They can freeze, they won't break. You can drop them on the ground, they won't break. So they're extremely durable. They're light, and they're relatively cheap. Some of those bigger water bottles, like I said, they're great to keep your water cold all weekend, but they're heavy to carry. So if we're just parking at the campsite and hanging out, that's great. I bring my hydro flask all the time. If we're walking into camp, I'm gonna have this. And if you buy one, I recommend the wide mouth because it's a lot easier to clean. The smaller mouth ones are easier to drink from, but if you put bug juice in this or you put soup in this or something and you gotta wash it afterwards, it's really hard to clean it through that little narrow top. So the wide top is a lot easier to keep it clean. So that rides over here on the side of my pack. And then on this side, my tent poles. Again, if we were going backpacking and we were carrying a significant amount of water, I would have another water bottle on this side. But, and then I got my tent stakes going there. So my tent poles and stakes are on the outside. And the last thing, sleeping mat. Everybody wants to get an air mattress. They sound great, they fold up nice and small. I use one all the time. It goes right at the bottom of my pack, which also serves as a water barrier for my sleeping bag. So if I put my pack down on wet ground, the water doesn't soak through the bottom, get my sleeping bag wet. Absolutely great. How many of you have woken up in the middle of the night with a rock or a stick poking through your sleeping bag? Yeah. If you have an air mattress, your air mattress is popped at that point and it's useless. for what we do and the use that you guys, and the abuse that you guys put on your equipment, I recommend just a foam mat. I guarantee if you spend the money on an air mattress, it will get popped and you'll be buying a new one. And if it pops in the middle of the weekend, you go the rest of the weekend without it. These don't pop. They last forever pretty much. And they're nice and light. They're a little more bulky to strap to your pack, but they'll last you. So I don't recommend an air mattress. The other thing with air mattresses is the cheap $25 ones on Amazon are not insulated. Most of our camping is September to June. We camp through the winter. A regular air mattress will be like sleeping on a block of ice, unless you get an insulated one. Insulated air mattresses are gonna run you $90 to $200. This is like $30. So I recommend one of these. Again, there's still some room in my pack, so now this is the base. This is, we're going scout camping, we got the trailer, we have all our pots and pans, we have all our food, everything's at camp for us. If we were to go backpacking, I'm gonna add a trail stove, I'm gonna add food, I'm gonna add another water bottle. We're gonna add to this, but I have plenty of space in here to put that stuff. We're trying to consolidate what we bring so that when we do these other trips, now we have something to build off of. For all intents and purposes, I'm gonna pack this at the top of my bag right now. I'm gonna squish this in here, pull this over the top, untangle my straps. And that can ride right up here. Some of you, your packs will have straps at the bottom. You can strap it to the bottom, that's fine too. I've strapped it up and down this way in the past with some paracord. It just, whatever works for the pack you have is perfectly fine. The last thing is a day pack. Now, the only reason my day pack's not sitting inside the top of my backpack right now is because mine has a backbone to it, so it doesn't really crunch up all the way. If you don't have anything with a solid back to it, you can just roll it up and stuff it in here. That's fine. And now we get to camp. We hike in. Now we're gonna go off for the day and go on a small hike. We're gonna go do some stuff around camp. I can take my compass, my water bottle, my first aid kit, you know, whatever I need out of here, my raincoat, throw it in here, go off for the day, come back, put everything back in my pack, and I can just clip this into my pack and go. Right? That's everything. The heaviest thing in here is my tent. It's about 4 pounds. This entire pack with everything in it right now is 23 pounds. So my base weight is 23 pounds. Then we add food and we add water. That goes above and beyond. That goes by how many days we're going out camping or backpacking. But to go on a scout camp out, as you go right now, that's everything you need. And that's a 23-pound pack. That would get significantly lighter with a smaller sleeping bag. I don't need my thermals on a warmer day. That sleeping pad, the other nice thing about those, if you're a smaller person, cut 2 or 3 folds off. You know, chances are by the time you outgrow that, you're gonna probably need a new one anyways. It's gonna get beat up or wrecked. Buy a new one and don't cut it down because you've grown. But for the next 5 years, you're probably not gonna grow 3 feet. Some of you might, some of you won't. Cut a couple folds off. Make it a little shorter, make it a little lighter, make it easier to pack. You know, so again, we can adjust that weight depending on the season, the weather, the camp out, but that's your base.